Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting a few minutes. Carolyn Jayne had to go out and come back in. We were having some sound issues, so she will be back in just a moment to get us started with our live stream here. I'm so delighted to have her, and I'll wait until she gets on to introduce herself. Today, we are talking about the cosmic weather of the season, and I see that there are a couple of you on, so you're invited to go ahead and put your greetings in the chat if you'd like, in the comments. And I love to have a discussion with everyone who's here. And here is Carolyn Jayne.
Hi,
Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sandy? Thank you so much for inviting me in. I hope my audio is
It's
better.
it's much better. So
Okay.
thank you. And I see we've got several people watching. So welcome, welcome. And today we are talking about the cosmic weather of the season, and I wanted to have you on for a little astro chat about Uranus and Taurus. I call it the Uranus and Taurus North Node shakeup, and
Hmm.
I'm actually going to be doing more listening than talking,
Mhm.
hopefully, because you're the expert, the astrological expert here. And I know we've got some people on the line who are astrology and human design enthusiasts, and we welcome your input and comments and questions as well. So, Carolyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sandy. So, my name is Carolyn Jayne. I consider myself an intuitive astrologist. I've been studying astrology for quite some time. I'm also an artist, an expressive arts therapist, and I love human design. I came into human design about 12 years ago. And so one of my, I guess, gifts, talents, whatever, would be um, to coalesce a lot of this information. So human design here. I am a 5-1, so I go deep. Emotional projector for those of you who do the human design. So yeah, so that's what I do. I love to study. I love to go deep in all these wonderful esoteric modalities. And then I love to actually, the five in me, I started off a bazillion years ago as a teacher in the regular world, taught English, taught art. So I've kind of combined all these things and here I am. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. And I've
Well,
worked with wonderful Sandy here. We met years ago. And on virtually, although it's also true that we literally lived in the same place in I'm in Rhode Island. I continue to be here. I was away for many years, and Sandy was here for a while. So it's very
yeah.
bizarre synchronicity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And we know some of the same people,
Yep.
and but we've never met person to person. So
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome, Dorothy. Welcome, Flo. Flow Mystic is a 3-5 manifesting generator. So
Woo.
awesome. Good to have you. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about where we're going, where we're starting, and where we're going to go before we got on the line. And I just wanted to acknowledge the Lions Gate 88 portal,
Mhm.
and ask you a little bit, Carolyn, about how you would explain this energy. I know we talked about heat and
Yeah.
how it's hot on the planet,
Very.
and intuitively we're kind of synced up with this feeling of the energy of how hot it is. And
Yes.
I'm wondering if that's related to the 88, or what your take is and how you would describe the whole thing.
Sure. Well, thank you. So first of all, just as a general overview, as I understand it, now we can. I love, this is so Uranus in this day and age. We can Google anything, and we can find out so much information, right? So I always say, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. Find the people with the information that resonates with you, because there is such a broad width and depth of information out there now in this beautiful age of Aquarius that we're in. Um, so with a Lionsgate, which I have been familiar with for quite a few years, it's a very big numerological portal. So it's an energetic portal. It's not an astrological point per se, other than Sirius, the star system, and the galactics. A lot of us who have been following a lot of the astrology and then human design and then any kind of star galactic mythology or esoteric are familiar with the planet Sirius, which I happen to aspire to the information that the dolphins and the whales come from this galactic space. Of course, it's not in our 3D space. It's in another dimensional space. But many of us doing this work hearken from the Pleiades or the Sirius or Sirians. So it's a big time, and astronomically, it's when the star system of Sirius it's at its highest peak in the sky. So it happens every August 8th. About, like, remember, the astronomy is going to go with the degrees and even the astrology, which that we can know through science in the science we have today, which does have its limitations. And then astrologically or energetically, those of us attuned, and I would say probably anybody on this call, would understand that it's an energetic portal. So it always happens on August 8th. So you've got the 8-8. And this year, a lot of people who do the numerology would also recognize that 22 is a master number. So we've got 2022, 8-8. So in many circles, this is seen as a big energetic doorway. And I would say it this year in particular, which makes it so big, is that we've got this big shift in Uranus that we're going to talk about. So it does kind of all merge together in a very magical way. And we talked about the heat. So, I mean, does the heating things up have to do with this Lion's Gate? I don't think that so much, but I do think it's not auspicious that we have these big astrological things happening. And I was telling Sandy, I was telling you, like, before we started, like, in human design, my environment is active mountain. So what I like to do is just sort of what I'm geared to, built this way. I love seeing the patterns and how they come together. So for me, it's all like connecting the dots with the microcosm, which I would consider in astrology, certainly the outer planets, and Uranus is the first outer planet after Saturn, right? We could see Saturn with the naked eye. Uranus was that planet right after Saturn. And this will dovetail to the Lion's Gate in just a second. Sometimes I take a circuitous route here. But with the Lion's Gate and this year, and with this Uranus, Taurus, North Node conjunction, which we'll talk about in a minute, how I see it is it's just making this energy even bigger. And it is considered a portal, right? Like doorway.
A portal for manifestation. And Flow Mystic says there's that static again. So I have no idea how we're going to fix that.
I'm sorry about the static, people. So I'm trying to, I'm actually on my iPhone. I couldn't get on my Mac. I'm appealing to, the technology of the God himself, Uranus, with our technology. And I have a Aquarius rising. So you think I should be able to figure this out. But it's 50,000 degrees in my apartment. I have this one little air conditioner that could. So if I turn the air conditioner off, I may melt into a puddle. So that's
I don't know. I don't think it's the air conditioner.
So let me see if I move it. Now, if I go like this, can you still, is it better?
It sounds like it might be in the phone.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Sorry, I don't.
So sorry, everyone. It's we tried to fix it before we got on, and it just wouldn't fix.
Let me just see if I plug my phone. So I have to move from my magical desk here. Let me just see if I plug my phone in. Yeah. See, this is what. Does that help at all?
I'm still hearing it. Let's say, keep talking for a second.
All right. Well, I'm talking, and
there's a little static. Is everyone else hearing it?
Is it as bad?
It's about the same to me in my ear.
Sorry, everybody.
Or maybe if you back off of the microphone a little.
So, like, go like this. Is
I
that
don't
better?
know. I have no idea. If it gets too bad, you might have to go out and come back in again,
Okay, because that
and
works.
I'll just fake it and tap dance while you're.
Wait, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hold on. Let me try putting the mic here. So it's not that the mic is my voice isn't loud enough. It's just the background noise.
No, it's some kind of static that's coming through with your voice.
Oh, with my voice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, but
Should I come?
anyway,
All right.
we can. You want to try coming back in again, and I'll talk a little bit about uh, the Lion's Gate while you're gone.
Okay, I'll come back in.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'm curious for those of you who are watching, how you're actually celebrating the lions, celebrating working with the energy of the Lion's Gate. I understand it to be like the energy that can help us to align our intentions for manifestation. So, the sun being in Leo, which I feel every year in August when the sun is in Leo, it's hot like this. And it lines up with Orion's belt, which is those three little stars from our perspective on Orion's belt, and then that points towards Sirius, and I always see that as a straight line arrow. uh, for some reason. I don't know if that's just my mind or the way it is. I know that the star systems, the Orion's belt, does point toward Sirius, but yeah, it's like an arrow toward manifestation and setting intentions. And I'm letting Carolyn on again so that she can bring
Oh,
us into hello, bring us into where we're going with like the Uranus and Taurus North Node theme, because you
okay.
said this is like a really powerful time, especially in 2022 for these
Yes.
energies.
Yes. So hopefully you can hear me a little better
It's
now.
yeah.
I seem to have to keep rebooting myself. I don't know. It's a good metaphor for me. So the reason a lot of astrologers and I think human design people, although I feel like it's bigger in astrology now, although it's all the same stuff, it's just a different way of looking at it. The reason astrologers are really talking about this Uranus shifting into, conjunct the North Node. Now, the North Node, just as a little sidebar, most of it, you probably know the North Node as, first of all, it's not a planet. It's a more of a mathematical equation of the nodes of the moon. And in our personal charts, the North Node is where we're headed, sort of energetically and purposely, in this lifetime, sort of what we're aspiring to. And then the South Node, and those two are always opposite each other, no matter who you are or what you do. The North Node is going to be always opposite your South Node. So in your astrological wheel, so for mine, for instance, I have my North Node is at 13 degrees Cancer, and it's gate 39 in my human design chart. And then the South Node then has to be 13 degrees Capricorn, or gate 38 in my human design chart. So what I find fascinating about being able to look at both human design and astrology, because I like doing that, is from an astrological view, you have it in a circle, right? Your chart's in a wheel, and each house, right, contains your planets, or certain houses are going to contain your planets. So right now, what happened, and Uranus did not just go into Taurus. That's been happening for a while, just so we know. But that is a new thing. Now, Uranus is one of those outer planets, and it takes I think 80 something years to make a complete revolution around the chart.
84 years, yeah.
84 years, right. So that means that if you live to be 84, we're hoping if we live to be 84, then we will have a Uranus return. But we're only going to have one, I'm thinking, in this lifetime. So Uranus, I love the symbol of Uranus because I remember my first astrological big reading I had with a woman named Caroline Casey, which is she's amazing. And that's Uranus. That's the glyph. And as a person who loves images and symbology, and that glyph itself is like a key. If you can imagine, it's like a key. And I remember her telling me way back in the 90s that the Uranus in our chart. So this is, so when we think about in our chart, we can also think about in the world, right? Because we're experiencing a Uranus a transit globally. Like this is happening globally. In our charts, where in our personal charts, where Uranus is like a key. There's like two big key glyphs in the chart. One's Chiron. It has the circle and the little K above it. And it looks like a little key also. And then Uranus is considered a key by many astrologists of a key to awakening into our higher vibration. It's also considered Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, which is kind of fabulous. It's kind of fascinating and fabulous, the winged messenger. And when we discovered Uranus, which of course we needed the telescope, so that's why he is sort of the reigning god of the sky, up in the sky, but technology. So he rules over Aquarius. And that's important too for this time, because Aquarius, as many of you know, like we've been hearing about the age of Aquarius, blah, blah, forever, we're actually just in the very beginning of it, because it takes a very long time, right, to go through a whole, like thousands of years to go through a whole, eon or a whole astrological sign. So we moved out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. And Uranus is really the harbinger of that like awakening technology. But it's not just technology. And it's about this fast awakening. If you think about a lightning bolt, he is the god of sky and a lightning. And when you think about a lightning bolt, I just got the image of like Ben Franklin. It's such a dumb image, but Ben Franklin, I think he actually was holding a key too. Ben Franklin, the electricity gets zapped by a lightning bolt. And then we have like this idea of electricity, and it's awakening to something new. And then we're also moving into this like big industrial revolution. I mean, these are all the things that are happening when Uranus was discovered. Okay, why is that important now? Well, Uranus, if you think about a sky god of awakening, a lightning bolt, so there's the heat too, right? That there's a heat involved. Any transformation we know from chemistry takes heat. I've also read mythologies that Prometheus, who was the mortal that gave fire, the god who was punished, gave fire to the humans. He is a version of Uranus too. There's a great story that goes with that. So the fire, the lightning, the spark, we need that spark to shake us up, right? Saturn is our boundaries and restriction and like the boundary of the earthly plane. And then Uranus, past what the human eye can see, there he is, and the lightning bolt. So right now, Uranus is moving through the sign of Taurus. That's important because Taurus is one of the most, it's a fixed sign. It's the sign of the bull. It's a earth sign. It's the earthiest. I mean, Capricorns and Earth, you got 3 earth signs, but it's the like earthiest of the earth signs is Taurus, and its regular domicile is see, I get it. Like our Uranus is like so it's all about, Taurus is all about, if you think about a Taurus energy, sensuality and the earth and beauty, and it's also very stubborn,
and it doesn't change much.
And
I think you have to reboot again.
Oh, okay. So let's talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, what's our question? What's our question to discuss while you're rebooting, or our thing to discuss?
Well, I think because for me, think about where Taurus is in your chart. Like we're going to talk about globally what it means, Taurus, and we're experiencing it in the environment and in the financial markets. The bull, it's happening with Uranus in there. But think about where Taurus is in your chart, your astrological chart, and think about what is gate 2? Like gate 2 in your human design chart, line 6, that's where the North Node and Uranus is now meeting up. So think about
Okay.
that. I'll be right back.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about gate 2 while
Perfect.
you're gone.
Bye. I'll be back.
Okay. Gate 2 is the receptive. And it is the, I'm going to share where we are on genetic, on the front page of genetic matrix. And I'll show you where gate 2 is on the human design chart. Gate 2 is, hold on, bear with me. Share the screen. Okay. Here it is. Okay, so gate 2 is this little gate right off the G center. It's like the ignition switch for the magnetic monopole that's housed in the G center, identity, direction, and it's known as the receptive, which is the electromagnetic to the 14, which comes off the sacral center. And the 14 is known in the I Ching as possession in great measure. It's the energy of the a life force. And of course, my husband is going to come right by here with the lawnmower. The life force energy to actually produce through work, through life force energy, the money and the resources that enable and support the turning on of the direction in one's life, or if we were looking at this in terms of the human design penta in business, the direction of the supporting the direction of the eventual expression coming up from to the throat for the fulfillment of one's mission or the business's mission. So if we think of this in terms of line 2 as being receiving of money, it is it's a very, very powerful thing. And I'm going to stop share here and let Carolyn in. So Carolyn, I had my slides out.
I saw that. That was great. I loved it.
So yeah, right. My husband came by with the lawnmowers.
I was like, this is the day of all kinds of sounds.
Of all kinds of Uranus interruptions, huh?
Yes. All right. I want to, Sandy, that was great. And I want to like maybe expand a little bit on, so I don't forget, because Sandy, because we talked about the Lion's Gate, and this kind of dovetails into, well, we're going to talk about Gate 2 and then Taurus in the chart. But she was asking me what I'm doing to celebrate the Lion's Gate. And well, I'm doing this, yay. And this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So my teacher and mentor from an energetic standpoint, I've been working with her for 6 years now. And she's amazing. Alea Dao, D-A-O. She has a website and a book called 7 Cups of Consciousness. But every 3 weeks, she does a tall cup. It's basically an hour meditation. It's open to the public. It's $18, which is such a steal to do this amazing meditation. But then if you sign up and, I do all kinds of things with her, you get it for a little cheaper. But anyway, it's happening tonight. And because it's happening on 8/8, she definitely brings in, she is from Sirius. She will tell you that straight out. If you're into any galactic things, this is amazing work, energetic work. And her tall cup tonight will be focused on the 8/8 Lion's Gate. That rhymes. So also, which made me think about when we were talking about Gate 2. So yes, a lot of people see, which isn't incorrect, I'm not saying that, a lot of people see this portal as this manifestation. I am learning in a not so easy way sometimes about why, like, the vibration behind the manifestation, even if it's money or whatever in the 3D, is far more important than the actual physical thing we get in the 3D. Like, this is like the last layer. We're in the most dense layer of reality. is down here, whereas there's like all these other dimensions where we are existing multidimensionally, where like that's kind of, as I see it, where we're really operating in our 100% power and all this other wonderful stuff. But the gate 2, the thing I love is, so we're in the line 6 of it now. This is where it gets like a little crazy. I'm not going to go into all the technicalities of it because I can't even explain it all. But the nodes go backwards in line. So we start out with line 6, not line 1, right? So when we're doing our progress chart, like we're moving through the lines, it takes about 6 years to go through a whole gate in your progress chart in a day. Like right now, the sun, I think we're in gate 7 still, right? We're in gate 7. I did a just now chart a little while ago. Yes. So that north node moving. So for quite a while, it was in the gate prior to, what was the gate? Whatever, it was in 20. It was in 23, I think. It was, the nodes were in. They were still Taurus Scorpio nodes, but they moved the gates, right? And that's the big deal that the human design people are talking about. That right now, if you went to a just now chart and saw in the sky a snapshot what's happening, Uranus is in gate 2-6. It's been there for a little while. It's going to be there for a little while. In fact, Uranus will be in Taurus with the North Node until November. So it's like this is an energy we're working with for a while. But it's important because moving into a new gate in the 6th line, that's kind of a big deal. So now if you have anything in like gate 14, like I do, I have gate 2 is open in my natal chart, but I have Venus and Vesta right exactly conjunct in gate 14. So this is kind of a huge deal for me, which is probably why I'm able to talk to you right now. And Sandy invited me because it's like pulling that energy out that as a projector, and with that sort of configuration, I need something else. I need that 2 to pull it out. And I was told a long time ago about even like marketing, like it doesn't really work for me in the same way. But right now, the universe is like our grand marketer, right? Like Uranus. And I love that idea. And the North Node. The other thing I really want to say is like one of my favorite, I have 2 favorite books. I love resources. That's what I do. That's going to be my book of resources. So this, when I first started human design, the Book of Lines, yay, yes, because it's such an easy go-to. You can just look up the line. You can see what degree this for astrologers too. It's great because you can see what sign are we talking about? What do we can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but you're breaking up again. You're staticky, but I don't want to disrupt your flow. So keep going.
Well, I'm going to talk. So basically, in the Book of Lines, I love how it says on line 6, being preoccupied, tunnel vision limits your capacity to expand fully. To me, the tunnel vision is thinking in 3D. Uranus wants us to bolt us out of 3D. Thinking 3D is like the money. Like, yes, obviously we all need money. And that's one thing Uranus is shaking up. Look at the world right now. I mean, just look at those of us in the US. We've got all kinds of crazy things happening. And for me, symbology, I love the fact that Wall Street is the bull, the bull in Wall Street, and Taurus is the bull. And then you got Uranus. So things are being shaken up in a big way, and not a comfortable way. I'm not saying any part of it's comfortable, but we have been told, told is, guided, which is a gentle word, to find our stability with our resources in different places than we used to. Like even in human design, they say we are like 2027 is the big year of when these tribal streams of money and healthcare, and a lot of this is dissolving in a way, right? And that could be a good thing. So we're taking this personal responsibility for things that we need to. But I would say that I love that don't have tunnel vision idea of think of it bigger than just money in a 3D way. Because I think if we can think of it bigger, then we'll have that also. We'll have the resources, and they can come in all kinds of surprising ways. Like that's right.
I'll tell you, that's been coming to me and all year. Well, even before, but recently I had my husband's out there. He chose to mow this part of the lawn.
Of course he did. That's what that's what's happening right now. I'm moving. I'm plugged in.
As illustration for the energies. I had this dream where I was trying on new shoes, and I was trying on like this really fancy pair of green open-toed shoes, and my toes were hanging over. And when I woke up, the message that came to me was, I need to stretch my toes out beyond where I am now. Like don't have the tunnel vision about, where your business is going, how you want to create. I'm working with the theme of the second Saturn return. And some of you may be following that theme with me. But it's like stretch. I woke up, I said, oh, I've got to stretch my toes out. Literally, like, don't just get locked into the tunnel vision here. There's more beyond where these shoes are, where what's supporting me. So yeah,
that's perfect. That's really good. And I think and not to lose sight of also, so we're talking about Uranus waking that up in us in the 2-6, or wherever, like I said, Taurus is in your chart, what house Taurus falls in, because that'll show you where you might have some shaking and quaking, metaphorically or literally. Like some people have Tauruses at the top of their chart, some people Tauruses on the bottom of their chart. So that's a clue for us. But also this North Node idea. So if gate 2 is the most feminine and receptive of all the gates, I was just really thinking about this whole thing about opposites, like dichotomies and opposites. And so here's Uranus, this awakener, it's a very yang energy. It's a very yang energy in a very yin gate. Gate 1, so gate 1, which I'm super familiar with, it's a Scorpio gate. I have Neptune. I have a lot of stuff in my gate 1. Probably adds like, that's our creative impulse. That's the most yang gate of all the human design gates. So that's when you think about yang, the masculine. That's why your husband's lawnmower and your when you think about the masculine, from a non-gender point of view, it's that outward energy. It's that, right, that impulse to create. It's not about the product. Gate 1 is not about the product. It's about the process of creating. Now, look at it this way. The nodes in the sky. So that means collectively, right? When we're talking about collective nodes, collective issues, the nodes are, the south node is in this yang gate. I mean, we've been reading and hearing about this forever, the divine feminine, like embodied and returning. I'm sure many on this call or who listen have followed that, think about that. We're all like, it's mostly women, a lot of times that are women embodied, or people who identify as women, that are drawn to this kind of work. Not saying that men aren't too, but you know what I mean? So it's just fascinating to me from a symbolic and actually a literal place that the nodes the south node is in that Scorpio gate 1 of masculine, that creative force that we've mastered on this planet. And in fact, we've gone, many would say we've gone too far, right? Like that would be the patriarchy. That would be the, like, everything is in this, like, we must produce, we must work, we must, and so now we've got this opportunity to balance it with that yin of that. The north node is looking toward the receptivity. And I think therein lies the conundrum, because we as a culture are so used to not being okay with the mystery of not knowing. I mean, look at it even how we approach astrology or how we approach human design. Like, we want to know, how is this going to work for us? And I think Uranus and the North Node meeting up in this gate 2, meeting up in Taurus, which is Venus domain. Let's remember, Taurus is Venus's domain. And she, as a she's the only actual feminine planet of all the planets that we count in regular astrology, right? Like, think about that. Like, she's the only one on the list. I mean, Sandy and I had talked about, I love the goddess asteroids, which are now really factored into a lot of charts. But so Venus is now in charge. I love this. Venus rules over Taurus. Just think about the symbology and the story here. She's the one guiding Uranus and the North Node, I believe. I think they're all kind of like symbolically, or I consider it literally too, like as these sentient higher dimensional beings. They are guiding this shift from this very yang, patriarchy. And it doesn't mean it was all bad. We had to go through that. And now we're moving into this whole new, I just got that, Aladdin song. It's a whole new world, that whole new world, like the red carpet, right? And the trick is, what I also understand is, it may not be, when lightning hits something, it's sometimes very disruptive. So how do we best, so the question for me is, when I'm looking at this energy, how do I best utilize this awakening in a way for my highest good and, for my divine purpose and for the good of others in the way I can embody it. So I guess that would be my, because it's important for me to have some practicality.
How do we best, if we're all going to follow or use that as inspiration, let's see, how do I best, how'd you say that?
I said, how do I best utilize this opportunity? I'm going to change it, because I don't know, whatever I said was probably good, but I'm not going to remember it now. How do I best utilize, and I'm actually going to say embody, like, how do I embody this yin Uranus, this yin awakening? So let me just say, even though it sounds like a real paradox, it's kind of beautiful in the sense of change doesn't have to be disruptive. It's all our perspective, right? How can I do this? I mean, we come, once again, 5,000 years of conditioning around, you've got to struggle. It's got to be hard. It's not going to be worth anything unless it's super hard and, you've struggled. Whoa, maybe that's a perspective that we can shift, right?
Exactly.
And I'm going to say the powers that be, like in the 3D, they don't like that idea. Just look at it in the very physical idea of, I love the idea of Starbucks trying to unionize, as well they should. I mean, you've got workers who, like, in a very physical Taurus way, the workers in this country, we'll just look at the United States, who make so little, are getting all the money for a very few bunch of people. And this is a really warped system that obviously in our country,
and part of the theme or the paradigm behind it is, you have to struggle in order to receive the money, or make the money, or create the money.
If you think about, and I don't know, like, I love this part of my graduate work, like, looked all the way back, like all these creation myths. Like, if you think about the Western creation mythology around Adam and Eve and the struggle, I mean, there's so many stories in the Old Testament that speak to this idea that you have to earn the right to survive. Like, right? And then you just look at even, which we're coming to terms with, hopefully, in our country, finally, in the United States, that literally on the backs of slavery, on the backs of people that were bought and sold, the greatest wealth was created by these handful
of people, and that goes in the South and the North, all over this country. So there is a we call it a stain,
It's a karma,
it's a
karmic.
karma.
Yeah.
And that's, and our South node is our karma. Our
Mm-hmm.
South node. So I love that. I just got kind of full body chills here. So we bringing it back. Our South node is our karma. And the trick about, once again, here's the dichotomy, the trick or the paradox. The trick about the South and the North nodes are, let's look at our chart like individually, because that's all we really have control over, right? We don't have control. And that's one of my big mantras. Like, what do I actually have control over and what don't I? And the only thing I have control over is my inner dialogue, is my inner perspective, is my inner, right? My inner
Your inner authority, as
yes,
they say,
yes,
as we say in human design.
as
Exactly.
we say in human design.
And we don't even really have control over that. It's the way our knowing shows up.
The way our knowing shows up. But we do, for me, because I'm such a cerebral person, human design or not, like it's just the way I am, that for me, it's being able to say, holding that place of mystery inside, going, all right, I know this looks bad, like whatever the thing is in front of me that I'm freaking out about, I know this looks bad, but I'm going to withhold judgment on it right now. Like, I'm going to do what I can do, and I'm going to have a different perspective. It sounds as silly as saying, I'm going to imagine the glass half full instead of glass half empty. And that's a big shift for me, because I was conditioned from a very young age to have the glass, that struggle thing, right? Like something's wrong if you're not struggling.
I want to go back to that question, the original question that you posed for doing this work through this transition of into the feminine, into the line 2 North Node, of how do I embody this? And Miriam W., I'm going to put your comment up here. My new theme, also as an emotional projector, is CELL yourself instead of sell yourself.
I love that.
Is that not brilliant? Thank you for that,
That's
Miriam.
brilliant.
And she also says that she got sparklers today to celebrate, celebration. And and she wanted to know if it's connected to the Lion's Gate. It's so
well,
beautiful.
can I say, first of all, I love that cellular. Yeah, because our cellular, like in human design, they say like it takes 7 years for we projectors particularly to decondition as the cellular process. But this is true, like you hear about it in so many, I mean, even biology talks about this, like our cells are constantly like, regenerating and all this stuff. But if we have that same blueprint, that is that struggle one, we have the struggle blueprint, then we're going to keep creating the struggle. So that's really the manifestation, right? Manifestation people think about as things, but we're manifesting all the time. It's just like, what are we manifesting? Are we manifesting a manifestation of something, a vibration that is of ease and grace and beauty? I think for me, that's where my Alea work comes in too. Like, what are the vibrations I'm manifesting? And then that'll be reflected in my outer world, in my whatever fits through. But I love that, Sandy, you asked the question again. We went back to that. How are we embodying the feminine? And I think for all of us, it obviously looks a little different. But anybody who, we all are creative. I always say that. I used to teach class. A lot of people think, well, I'm not creative if they don't like paint or dance, or those are just the very like collective ideas of what creativity is. We know that, but we're all like, creativity is the life force. It's the same center, right? It's the sacral, it's the second chakra, third chakra, all that, first chakra, all that's our creative. Without creativity, I mean, the act of conception is a creative act or whatever. So we exist as beings on this earth plane because of our creative life force, right? So the yin part for me, which I've been working on, I know you too have, Sandy, but I've always felt my art, my expression of 3D art, as a painter and journaling, is a process. So it is very yin for me. I mean, if I could sell something, great, if it happens, but I don't create it to sell it. And for me, I'm not saying that that's not good for some people, but for me, when I do that, everything crumbles inside of me because it's coming from a different energy. I'm not saying like someone can come to me and be like, well, commission, those are great. I'm not, but I don't get an idea thinking, oh, I'm going to paint tulips so I can sell them. That doesn't happen for me.
Right.
It kind of crushes my spirit. I don't know why. It just does.
Yeah, and for me, it kind of has to come from the inside out. Like I don't know what it is until I put it out on the paper.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot when I'm just doing my own free form abstract stuff, and bringing up the in and I hope I'm not misinterpreting your comment, but she says, I'm just going to read it. I don't like when I receive or recognize my karma. And, recognizing me on my journey, of this yin journey, has been a lot about recognizing the karma that I have created and the karma that I have inherited, that I have the power to heal and transform. And it's such an internal process.
Yes.
It's such an internal, and for me, I go back through past lives. I go back through, and I'm also the great granddaughter of an African American slave. And I'm also at the intersection of, like, my mother was a refugee in the Korean War, so there's a lot of that cellular stuff, cellular karma, that I obviously elected to take on in this lifetime to heal and transmute and to transform at this point in time, so that my family line, or my lineage, my spiritual and human lineage, can move into the next era. And it's so yin, it's so internal. If I tried to explain to the average person what has come to me, what I have done, how I have healed certain things, the energy work that I've had to do, the talking to the ancestors, the abstract art, the excavation of consciousness, it's such an internal thing to open up. And what's coming to me, it's like the first step is like not liking what I'm seeing, whether it's like history of victimization in my family line, or my own behavior toward other people, or my own insensitivity, or whatever it is that I recognize as karma. The not liking it is like the first flag. It's like, okay, there's work to do here. And then it's that internal process of, okay, how can I unravel this? Where's the knot? Is it, where is it in my emotions? Where is it in my history? Where is it in my Akashic record? Where is it? And how do I move into that and unravel it and open it up so that I can be more receptive?
Yes.
To the possession in great measure, going back to that imagery 14. Of the 14-2, to the possession in great measure that's in my genetic inheritance.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that made me think, Sandy, of why I love the Gene Keys so much. So for those who don't know, the Gene Keys it was written by Richard Rudd, and he was a student of Ra's from Human Design, and he takes the 64 gates. And Rudd, yeah, there it is. I have it too. Yeah, we have the same book, Sandy. We have the same library. So I remember when I came upon both Human Design and Gene Keys right at the same time, which was kind of weird. And the Gene Keys, I could understand the Gene Keys much better than Human Design, because Human Design is so technical in some ways. But for me, as a former English teacher and poetry, I love all that stuff. And he's so Rudd is so symbolic and metaphoric and spiritual in his writing. And the thing that really, which speaks to what you just said, Sandy, and it speaks to the person who, I'm sorry because I can't see the chats, but speaks to the person who talked about not
Rachel.
wanting to look at
Yeah.
your karma, which I get, like, because I think that's another thing our culture has made, and religions have made karma sound like a bad thing. It's not necessarily, it's not bad or good. It's just patterns that we, like Sandy said, or this is my belief, that we're born into. We have our own personal, right? And then we're born into these DNA structures that usually any of us here, any of us at all awakened, because a lot of us in our families, we may be the only one that's awakened. So I can, as a Scorpio mojo, I can, like, the ancestors come to me a lot. Like, and believe me, all my ancestors, some of them not a good situation. You know, a lot of a lot of victimizer energy there that was uncovered. That there's still so many secrets in my family from a 3D level. But anyway, what I was going to say is, like, even in, you know, coming from a therapeutic background, so my master's work was in expressive arts therapy and holistic counseling, even back in the 90s, you know, back whenever, from the psychological Jungian approach, we can't clear or move past anything until we can see it. And that's like the shadow work, right? And that's why I love Richard Rudd's take on the keys, because he has a shadow of it, he has a gift of it, and he has a city, or the highest level. And as I was in different groups when I was first learning, I noticed how so many people, their question is like, how do I move beyond the shadow? How do I move beyond the shadow? They only want the gift. And the beautiful thing about the Gene Key book is that he says, which I truly believe, and every great spiritual teacher has told us this, you don't move beyond a shadow, you embrace the shadow, and then the shadow actually gets, when you put light on it, it's not about, it's weird, it's not about moving beyond it, right? We even in our spirituality, we have such a yang approach, like, I need to ascend, I need to get better, I
need to fix this.
I need to fix this because it's bad.
That's what I'm struggling with in, like, my mindfulness meditation course. It's like every time I sit down to do mindfulness meditation, I feel like I need to fix something that doesn't feel right. It's like, breathe.
Yes, and the only way,
be present.
only way we move through it is actually just to be with it, like,
yes,
and not try to fix it. And it's the hard, like, that's why a good therapist will never, even if you go to a talk therapist who's really good, he or she is not going to try to fix it for you. That's not their job. So when we can begin to do that to ourselves and just sit with those, because we all have those, like, sad parts in us and broken parts in us, and you know, some people see it as the inner child. We can see that, you know, because how many of us had parents that were awakened? We didn't. None of us. We are the awakening. I mean, some of us may have, you know, but we are like the awakening curve here. So we can't do anybody any good if we're not awakened to our own shadows, right? Because usually what happens is we just project that. So, like you said, Sandy, if I used to find I would get so incensed over, you know, it's really hard not to, the last 6 years in politics here in the United States. I used to be very politically, whatever. I still am. I'm not going to say I'm not, you know, to the left of everybody who's left, but it's different in me now, because I see that, oh, if this is really bothering me so much, there's something inside of me that I just need to look at. And I'm not saying it's in me, but I'm saying there's a reaction that I'm having that maybe I can't be with part of this in myself. Maybe there's still places where I get mad at myself that I can't, you know, and usually it's fix it. I can't get better, or I can't, like, hear my guides all the time. That's my big thing. I see people hearing their guides. I'm like, why can't I hear my guides? I say that to Sandy. Why can't I hear them? And they're just like, because that's not how we come to you, Carolyn. I'm like, okay. You know, so it's like we're all learning how to do this. And I love the idea of that gate 2 with gentleness and ease. Like, right? Like, if we try to, if we use the same technique to try to get a different result, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So back out, chill, as we were kind of talking before the
Yes.
broadcast, independently and together, coincidentally, chill, be in the receptive mode, and let it be revealed and open up
And I would say
the
too,
path moving forward, that
and I
north
would,
node path.
yeah, and I would say too, like you and I, Sandy, we both love the visual art and we both use that. And I write visual art, but I truly, truly believe if I could give one piece of something, I hate using the word advice, but find what brings you joy. It sounds so silly. And I know people, but it's true. It's like, find what brings you joy day to day. Okay. Because it's not like the big joy that's going to happen, but it's the day to day. And for some, it could be just like sitting, listening to music. It could, whatever it is that really helps you find some peace and joy. Because if we want calm and ease in our life, then we have to approach wanting calm and ease in our life in a calm way. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, it doesn't work the
exactly.
other way around. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, and to kind of tie this back to the Uranus, I want to in a second ask you some questions about the Taurus piece of this for
sure.
people who want to go into more into their astrology chart and the
Yeah,
houses. But the Uranus, um, north node gate to where we're going,
yeah.
south node where we've been, that yang line one, um, create through the yang, Uranus gate to sudden, we're being activated some in a way that could seem disruptive, doesn't have to be disruptive. I'm just sort of summarizing what we've talked about so far, to this more yin receptive place of would you say it's the internal work that brings forth this uh mutative direction, because one, line two, that whole center channel in human design is about mutation. So would you
Oh, I
say
hadn't
that
even thought
it's,
about that. That's good.
yeah, it just clicked in for me to say that.
Yes, I would definitely say that if we were using Uranus as our guide in, because, right, the gate has its meaning, but the planet that's interacting with it informs us of what it's trying to tell us, right? It gives us the
Hmm.
flavor. So with the North Node and Uranus in that gate too, the shakeup, and I'm going to give you, like, even though we're talking about ease and grace, I mean, sometimes shit stuff happens where we're being shaken up. That's just the way it is. So it's
Hmm.
how can we even approach the shakeup in a way that we can say, I don't know what this means, right? Like, we're trying to bring meaning to this, which is the ultimate irony here. I don't know what this means, but I am going to. So that's the feminine, that's the nonlinear thinking. I'm going to hold this mystery in a space of ease and grace.
Mm.
This is where, trusting that no matter what happens, I am safe and I am supported and I am, whatever the word is that works for you, in me, right?
Hmm.
So that's where we're shifting. It's like, it's the shift from the outer world being our complete reference point for how we're doing, and saying, like, even to message, oh, I lost my job or my spouse. Like, I think we have been trained as individuals and as a collective for the millennium to say the outer world is going to dictate our inner feeling, right? It's going to, and that's what most humans do. We do that. We go, oh my God, this horrible thing just happened to me personally or collectively. Therefore, I feel horrible. But now
This
in this,
makes me feel this
yes.
way,
So
which
it's
is,
like that
nobody
victim.
makes anybody feel anything.
Yes. It's that collective victim mentality. And I'm not saying we don't have a reason to feel that. There's a reason to, right? But the spiritual awakening the true spiritual awakening and upgrading. So I love using, even though I don't really love computers, sorry, Uranus, but now I love this technology, right? We are upgrading as a species. And if you think about what happens when you have to upgrade your phone or your computer, all of us are like, oh, because glitches happen. Like glitches happen. And then if you try to stop the download before it's ready, I call it the spinning circle of hell, that apple, that wheel. If you try to stop, just from a technical computer standpoint, if you try to stop a download when it's happening, what happens? It clogs everything up in your computer. Guess what? We as humans are upgrading energetically. I know you've all heard about that whole 5D, 3D to 5D. And this, even human design has its own language for talking about it. Everybody has a different language. It's pretty much all the same though, that we are upgrading. It's happening regardless of whether you're conscious of it. But when you're not conscious of it, that's when everything gets more easily clogged up in you, because you don't know, oh, I need to rest. I need to wait. I need to stop pushing. I need to, so some of us get literal energetic downloads. I know you do, Sandy. Like if you stop in the middle of that, it's just going to clog you up, because our human little pea brains can't take it in. Like we are so much vaster than just this human form, and our brain and we are these multidimensional beings. I really believe that. And this whole planet is awakening. Gaia, I know everybody thinks it's like the worst of everything, but actually there's this whole multidimensional aspect of Gaia, and she's doing actually just fine. She is awakening too. Like everything is awakening. So we are part of that. And if you try to, Uranus has this great message too of like, if you try to stop a lightning bolt from coming down, good luck to you. Like, that's why the Ben Franklin, I don't know why Ben Franklin's all around me right now, but here he is. Ben, you can see that little kid image, like 4th grade of the Ben Franklin with the little wire glasses, and he's out there with his hairdo. But he utilized the lightning bolt. He didn't try to stop it. He just found a way to utilize that power. That's the other thing. This Lionsgate is about the 3rd chakra and empowerment. I forgot that so the whole theme. So this tall cup tonight, this thing with the lamp, and she's been prepping us for the last few days. This Lionsgate, I'm not saying everyone is, every time Lionsgate happens, but this particular one is about the 3rd chakra. And it's all about getting out of this victim mentality, like if we choose to, right? So everything is supporting that. Uranus in 2, the North Node in 2, the Lionsgate here. Like there's a lot of good mojo, but
yeah,
like I tell everybody, and I had to learn this the hard way, like you just gotta take it easy. It's a lot.
Go with it. Be gentle. Be gentle with yourself, your body, your
drink tons of water.
Where, as Miriam said, your cells.
Your cells.
Yeah, tons of water. Yeah. And I'm looking at the time. We're just over an hour. And I wanted to ask you,
Taurus.
just for people who want to kind of contemplate this, go into this a little more deeply into their chart. You mentioned looking into where Taurus is in their chart and where the house is.
Yes.
What house Taurus is in. So why is that significant?
So from an astrological standpoint, when we have a planet that's making a collect, so the outer planets, like a lot of us on this call probably have Uranus in Virgo, that because there's generations, or it could go, there could be Virgo. Sometimes because planets go into retrograde, it's like, almost all of us have Pluto in Virgo. A lot of us have Uranus in Virgo. Maybe those
they're slow moving.
Yes, because they're slow moving. So they're considered generational, right? So how it affects us personally, that's where we can see where our Taurus is in our chart. So that's like Chiron just went into Aries. So many of us have probably already had our Chiron return. We were Chiron in Pisces. Anybody that was born in the 60s, like the early 60s, even until like 64, like you got the late 50s, early 60s, we all have Pisces Chiron. So when we were 50, it returned. But anywho, in the sky, so people who are now turning like 48, 49, 50 are having their Chiron return. And they were born with Chiron in Aries. Chiron is in Aries, like now in the sky. So what I did when that happened is I looked at my chart. So for me, Aries, my Jupiter's in Aries. I'm also right now having a Jupiter return. I've got my Saturn second. So are you, Sandy? Second Saturn return. Jupiter
Second
return.
Saturn. I'm in second Saturn return, looking toward the Jupiter return. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm smack dab in the middle of this right now. And so what I thought about was, how does Aries, so my Aries is in my second, third house. Like I'm kind of cuspy with that. So in the second house is all about value. So you look at, what does the house mean, right? So there are 12 houses. That doesn't change.
Yeah.
The first house.
So we're looking for this, for people to take away for this discussion. We're looking at you're looking at where Taurus is, because
Where
Uranus
Taurus
is in
is.
Taurus, and you're looking at the house that it's in.
Correct.
Because the house is the house, like the thing, kind of like the area of your life. Is that what it is?
That is a good way to put it. Yes. So the house will tell you where, like, so the house will tell you, like, yeah, what area, what concerns are it going to be about. Like 12th house stuff is all about, like, sometimes karma, past life things, secrets, the unconscious. Every house has a different theme. So when you know, let's suppose your Taurus fell in your 6th house in your chart. I'm just using that as an example. It's not where my Taurus falls, but suppose you have Taurus in your 6th house. The 6th house is all about your everyday, day-to-day life, like your daily routines, your health, your job, often your like very mundane job. So with Taurus in your 6th house, with Uranus, lightning bolt, you might find some sudden changes in your daily routines. You might find some sudden changes in how your daily job, maybe the job that you do to make some money changes. So it's kind of like, where is possible shakeup going to happen in your chart? Which house does it fall in?
And then, of course, there's a connection with like planets that would be in Taurus, which would be a topic for something like a reading with you.
Yes. Yes. Right.
We're not going to go on for another hour.
No, we can't go on. But that's where it's really cool to look at, like, what planets in your chart are opposite each other or square to each other, because that's where you have these challenges that come up and you're like, why is this a challenge to me? And I kind of see it. It sounds very esoteric, but it's magical. I kind of see it like getting all of your planets on the same page so they can start communicating and collaborating with each other, as opposed to having their own agenda, which a lot of them do if there's no collaboration, which takes your consciousness as the coach to kind of put them together. That's my spin on that.
I had never heard anyone put it that way, but that's really, that sounds really productive. Like really, like you can really harmonize your consciousness by the forces
Sandy,
around you.
I have to say, what actually helps me figure out that's what I love doing and I can do it is, I couldn't understand my gate 7 for the life of me. So I'm a 7-1 in my design sun. It's my radiance point. And that's the gate of the army. And I could not figure it out, because it was unconscious, until, I don't know, I had some reading or something, and she was like, oh, that just means the army inside yourself. You got to get everybody on the same page. And I was like, click, click, click. Like, because I have all that 44 energy, right? My sun, and it's like everybody was like, I had to like pool everyone. I don't know how to explain it, but that was like my creative process around it.
So is that what you do in your readings, like your astrology readings?
Yes, I take so in the short ones, I look at your wheel, and I can get the pattern and we look at the planets that are like, oh, like Venus is opposing your moon. We're just using it as an example. And La Luna needs to speak like how La Luna is in our chart. Like for me, she's in Gemini, she's chatty, as you can tell. That's my chatty side. That's she creates, she's in my 5th house of creativity. Venus and the moon have to be like on the same page in our chart if we want relationship with beauty and values. My Venus is in a very severe degree. That's my 14 line 5, very deep, very harsh. And I had to, La Luna was just feeling super sad in me. I sound like a crazy person right now, but it's true, people.
We get it.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, I'm trusting that you get it, because we've been on through the deep end of a lot of things this hour. Like,
I love it.
We started out with Uranus. Uranus and Taurus and what that means, and we started out with the Lion's Gate. I think we went into the Akashic records and past lives.
We did everything. Covered it all.
Oh yes, and Saturn and all kinds of things. So so I am looking at the time, and I think it's probably about time to bring it to a close. I really want to just thank everybody for being here and for your input. And hi, Dorothy, I see your comment. You're in your 2nd Saturn return and your Jupiter return. So, yep, you were all navigating this together. And even if you're not, if you're a little younger, a little older, we're still on the same ride together. So, Carolyn, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. I have left your website in the description on this video. Yay. So anyone who wants to check out Carolyn's great talent in astrology and human design guidance and visual art and art journaling, go to her website. Are you open for friends on Facebook too?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm open for friends.
and people can look for you. Carolyn Jayne, right? I can't remember. Yeah.
Carolyn Jayne, and on Instagram. I love Instagram because I don't know, it's fun. As an artist, it's fun. We can just snap our stuff on there. So yeah. And awesome. And I love collaborating. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, this was awesome. I'd love to have you back at some point and to kind of keep a pulse on.
In the spirit of manifesting on Lionsgate in a very 3D way, one of the things, and I know, Sandy, we've talked about this, I'm throwing this out there in the universe. I would love, I do love deep dives. I can go, but I love the idea of taking a goddess asteroid, like for me, like Ophelia. She's the quintessential goddess of where the victim is in our chart and how we can move through that. And she's been a great guide for me. But it's so much fun when you can find the asteroid in your human design chart and then look at it in your astrology chart. Oh my God, if I could just do this, I could do this all day and it would be fabulous. But anyway, someday I want to do a class collaboration with that. We can do art with it.
Yeah.
But I've learned the hard way that you can only do one at a time, because trying to do too much too soon is just too much.
Yeah. So we'll put it out there and
the universe.
And we'll wait to be invited out into that. How's that?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. That sounds fabulous.
And thank you so much. And those of you who may have just found us, found my channel, you're invited to like and subscribe. And we'll have Carolyn on again. And I put other videos up too. So please do that. And thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the broadcast, but Carolyn, don't go anywhere. So
I won't.
All right. See you all later, and happy Lionsgate.
Happy Lionsgate, everyone. Thank you.